Hello. Sorry I left you hanging on a Friday, but it is the Saturday special with Christian Finnegan, which is just a conversation with comedian and commentator Christian Finnegan, who I always love talking to, who will join us for PODJAM 2 in Las Vegas on March 28th to 30th. Get your tickets now. Tickets available in the show notes. We hope to see you there. So yeah, sorry I didn't get to show up yesterday. I had a whole bunch of things going on and wasn't expecting to have. They were all good, so not to worry. Just some phone calls and things I had to do and got to do, so it made it really hard for me to get it all together yesterday. But I am here today, and I've got a couple of other great conversations that I've taped that I'm going to be sharing maybe tomorrow, definitely next week. But today it's a Saturday special, no news or clips, just not a normal show, just a conversation with Christian. And now there is this AI function for podcasts and everything, right? It's now available that summarizes your conversations after you've taped them and describes my conversation. This AI describes my conversation with Christian this way. It says, Pete Dominic hosts a conversational segment humorously dubbed the Saturday Special, where topics range from personal branding approaches to serious matters such as the recent catastrophic fires in Los Angeles, sympathy for affected friends, and the broader impacts of climate change. The discussion veers into reflections on political and social challenges, including frustrations and misinformation, and lies spread by prominent figures and media. Dominic and his guests critique billionaires like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, discuss systemic ineffectiveness, what the hell's that, and express a cautious hope for a return to decency and shared truths. They also tackle the impact of social media on societal behavior and ponder the historical significance of documenting truths. Throughout, there's a balance of humor, tangential anecdotes, and a call for community amidst shared adversity. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that way that I might start using those, or at least parts of them. Probably a little bit too long, right? All right, let's do it right now with Christian. Go follow and subscribe his Substack, newmusicforolds.substack.com. It's so great. You're missing out. If you're not, subscribe to it. And action. Oh, it's Christian Finnegan with a Saturday Special. That's what I like to call it. Hi.
Since when have you been calling it the Saturday Special?
I name things, and I brand them for weeks at a time, like 1 week at a time. It's the best kind of branding, I think.
I'll take it.
Yeah, some people are like, you should repeat things and have them on at the same time in the same place. I'm like, nah, I think I'll name them whatever I want, whenever I want, and that'll be that.
Yeah, so that they gain no traction whatsoever.
Oh, they gain a lot of traction. The Saturday Special is actually one of the most popular rated shows on the internet with you.
Really?
Yeah.
According to who? What rating system?
Some of the different networks and systems, everybody's saying it. So, yeah.
Hard podcasts.
Really happy to have you here on the Saturday Special, which is, your brand.
Yeah, because it is Saturday and talking to me is special.
Yeah, that's true. Both those things are accurate, which is why we've decided to go with the name. We did some polling for it and some focus group, and everybody loved it.
Pirate Kinsey.
Yeah, that's one of them. Your latest New Music for Olds issue, where all kinds of great ideas for music and how to pair it and introducing them, and I love it. But I like the opening. Gets us into our conversation too, because you write in the opening, we'll get to some music, but I'd like to offer a quick few words of support to anyone in and around Los Angeles. LA has never quite been my lady, more like a girl I once hooked up with, and now it's awkward. But so many of people I love and care about live there, a number of whom have fled their homes or even lost them. The scale of the damage is almost too large to imagine. I want to express my deep sympathy towards anyone who's been affected. And then you link to directrelief.org, which helps people find places to donate that are simple and transparent. It's great. It's a great way to open our conversation too, because we know you are feeling on it right there, right away. But I'm sorry to hear that you have some good friends out there. But more importantly, I guess I want to ask you, is it me, or as we talk on Friday afternoon for the Saturday Special, does the damage and photographs and shock seem to become worse and worse and more real?
Yeah, I don't want to act like this tragedy is more important than other tragedies just because I happen to know a lot of people affected by it. I think that's probably human nature, but there does seem to be something particularly apocalyptic about this, just in terms of just wind and fire. Like some of the footage of just like, you see those gusts of like hurricane winds and then just, blowing fire everywhere. And you're just like, what will stop this? Like what, what it's like with a hurricane, you at least know at a certain point it's going to go along its business. Yeah. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't want to make the their tragedy about me or you or us or whatever, but it's been hard to watch. Like it's been hard to bear. And, especially when I don't want to get all dystopian and fatalistic, but it's like you get the feeling that you hope that Biden's doing everything he can possibly do in the last week of his administration, just because that once the reins get turned over, that it's just going to be awful. If you want
help from FEMA and Trump's federal government, you're gonna have to do something for me.
Yeah. You're gonna have to publicly prostrate yourself, or kiss the ring in some way, or and it's not even just Trump at this point; it's other Republicans. Like some dude who was being interviewed, I think, on either Fox or CNN, who was saying, we're going to give the money to these people, but they have to change their policies. And basically, what they're saying is, elect Republicans or else you're fucked. Yeah, essentially, because it's like, what policies could you possibly even be talking about? Again, man, it's like we're all gonna muddle through this, and the political landscape can change a lot quicker than I think it feels at times. But man, it really feels like we're just staring down a fucking shotgun barrel right now, and it's not fun.
Anticipatory anxiety is a phrase my friend Chrissy Greer is using. Just looking at January 20th, you used it slightly more visceral, looking down the barrel of a gun, and I think they're both apt and they mean something similar. But I think I just wanted to ask for your reaction on my observation that, to me, the thing that emotionally is so upsetting is the devastation is horrible. But what I get enraged by is the lies about what caused the devastation and the political points being scored immediately. That is hard. It's hard to take, just watching and imagining the loss and the pain and thinking about the future of climate and all of that. But then all of the lies from so many people on the internets and Trump and Elon Musk and anybody else. Elon Musk apparently retweeted Alex Jones, who said some crazy conspiracy theory about this was an inside job or something. And it's just, so it's hard enough to lose something or lose somebody or watch this, but it's so much more enraging to see the lies about it. Thoughts?
Oh yeah. It's my only hope is that, I know this sounds probably pretty Pollyanna and naive, but that misinformation and bullshit and lies are a trend, that they are a Rubik's Cube or a parachute pants or a, pet rock or whatever. And that eventually there is going to be a cultural lurch back in the other direction. I have no reason to believe that, but because it does feel like this sort of the bullshit factory that we're all witnessing right now has gone beyond just political strategy. And it's almost just kind of like a knee-jerk trend, a knee-jerk reaction. Like it doesn't even feel, it just feels instantaneous and completely just reactionary. It's just like, whatever happens, I have my sort of bullshit filter ready to go. And my only hope, or not my only hope, but a hope I have is that, people tend to want in the culture what they haven't had for a while. I think there's a reason why Jimmy Carter won after Nixon and all that, right. That there is that decency, lowercase d decency will somehow start to feel punk rock again, or new, or just fresh, or like just.
I like it. No, I like it. It's an interesting theory of kind of optimism that there could be a market for shared truth that there was once before, because we're just going to get tired with living on bullshit mountain and with people selling us nonsense to get clicks and to get, but it's also at the same time that stuff is pretty juicy, and it seems like there's going to be a demand for it. But I haven't thought about that, and it will be interesting to see as the head bullshitter in charge, is generating that kind of nonsense and lies every day, where people migrate to either get away from it and find something more honest, or just, turn apathetic. I hope it's not the latter, but there's so many different outcomes, and I do appreciate any analysis.
But it just feels like there's a, granted, I'm peering through
I like it. Go ahead, peer.
Peer away. My little hole in the fabric.
You're Hasidic?
Huh?
You're Hasidic?
I am Hasidic, yes. I'm the only Hasidic named Christian in the world. This is a little solipsistic, but I do feel like there is a genuine dissatisfaction with the apparatus that we have built up around ourselves. And by that, I mostly mean social media. That my only hope is that like kids are going to come along, and they're just going to be like, why would I be on Twitter? That's for losers.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not to say that TikTok or anything else is. Yeah.
Why would I always be projecting it, looking, am I constantly navel gazing? Is this generation or future generations at some point going to be looking not so much always at themselves and projecting themselves and their own views and thoughts and images, but in a different way, more.
But it just feels like more and more, I feel like everyone is just dissatisfied with Facebook and with Instagram and with TikTok. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I might just be wish casting here, but because there's nothing to replace it. That's the problem, is that it's like Blue Sky's lovely, but Blue Sky really at the end of the day is just another Twitter. It's just a Twitter that we remember from 8 years ago, but it's really no different. And I feel like
it's not owned by an evil billionaire. That's one thing that's pretty different. So,
well, sure. But I'm just saying, it's like, I still get that, undefinable, what I would refer to as the gray ache, of kind of just bland, slight discomfort that being that scrolling for too long gives me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Sure. I do.
Just like, why have I wasted 45 minutes? I'm no better off. I'm no happier. I'm amused. I'll laugh at a cat video or whatever, or I'll click on a link. But at the end of the day, it just feels like I've been eating gruel for the past 45 minutes. And I don't know, man. I feel this bizarre desire to get away from that. I don't know how to do it.
That's good. No, that's good. It's a good thing to name and have other people hear, and you're motivating me as well. And I think we can talk about ways in the future, as we discover what they might be, to do just that. So I'm here for it. I'm here for that idea, that right here at the beginning of January, by the way. So let me ask you about, if you're talking about facts and how maybe something will change around some kind of universal truth. But this week we took a step in the wrong direction, because Mark Zuckerberg reinvented himself. He got a stylist and a completely new ethos. It would seem like if there was any shred of shame or integrity or responsibility that he had left there or ever had, I don't know, it's gone, because this week he kissed the ring. Not only did he get rid of fact checking, but he apparently went and met with Trump, and then came out and said, listen, they're basically criticized all the anti-Trump stuff that was happening for a while. And then he got rid of DEI initiatives apparently at Facebook, or he's trying to. So he's gone seemingly full MAGA, plus the new look, which he's a pretty girl. I'll say that.
I don't know. Part of me feels like it's good in a way. It's clarifying. For such a long time, I feel like we wanted to believe that these billionaires and these sort of business titans were different than our father's generation or our grandfather's generation, because these guys wear hoodies and leather jackets, and they're young, but they're not. I think that, first of all, I'm not saying that Aaron Sorkin, I'm not basing my opinion of Mark Zuckerberg on the movie The Social Network, but it's just kind of like, I don't think he pulled that shit out of nowhere. I don't know. That dude has always just been, at best, an empty vessel willing to say whatever.
Yeah.
To you know, it's hilarious to me that it was only like 8 years ago that he was talking about trying to like run for president as a Democrat, you know, that he was trying to position himself as the heir to the sort of neoliberal political machinery, you know, but it never really convinced me at all. And like, this is a dude who got famous because he wanted to rate hot chicks at his college.
That's right.
You know, this is not a guy who had a desire to make the world a better place.
By the way, it brings us, reminds me to here on the Saturday special, Christian and I like to rate chicks. Let's go. Here we go.
Let's go. Anne Ramsey.
Who?
You don't know who she was? She was the woman who played Mama in Throw Mama from the Train. And she was also the
10. Wow, that's a funny call. I
don't know why that was the first name to pop into my head.
Years ago when this dispute started with my next door neighbor, who was at that point must have been a 75-year-old woman. Remember this story? I never talked to the woman. She just hated me because I think she saw me on TV or somebody did, and she knew my politics. I never had an issue. She had an issue with me. I don't know what it was. But she just started just haunting me and screaming out her window and stuff. I went on Twitter and I said, my next door neighbor reminds me exactly of the mom from Throw Mama from the Train. And she saw it, apparently.
Oh, really? And what did she?
Like her daughter-in-law, like DM'd me. She's like, "I am so-and-so's daughter-in-law. That is a cruel thing you said." And I was like, I don't think that lady's reading my Twitter, and I never thought she would see it, but you know what? Fuck her. She's a really terrible person.
Yeah, and also it's like you didn't name her. Yeah.
Her name, by the way, is Linda Jefferson, and her address is 29. That's not her name. So anyway, I just thought that was a funny tangent to go on. I thought it was worth it. So getting back to the week, the word of the week, I feel like that I've been reading a lot more about is oligarchs and oligarchy. And you've got all these billionaires coalescing to create some kind of hall of doom and support Trump and kiss the ring. And it's interesting to see it all juxtaposed up against the memory of a man who had great integrity and was real decent and compassionate, a real man, Jimmy Carter. This week we are, learning about him and how he lived his life and remembering him. And then we're watching all of these total pieces of shit try to tear down the planet and our society and destroy everything for themselves. And it's a tough comparison, but make your choice. Who are you going with? Jimmy Carter or Elon Musk? Who do you want to be?
Again, a lot of this is just like wish casting and, trying to tell myself everything's going to be okay. But one thing that, the Bezoses and the Zuckerbergs and the Musks and all the Bill Ackmans and all these douchebags, they're only going to be on the same team for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's like, it was easy to create this Legion of Doom in order to get sort of Trump elected in this sort of heady salad days. But eventually these dudes are going to come into conflict with each other. And
hopefully it's in an arena and we can all watch just all of them fighting to the death.
Dude, you have, if you knew some of the ugly, dark fantasies I have about what I would do or what I wish other people would do with some of these people.
I had one. I went off for about 20 seconds. I thought about Mark Zuckerberg and I'll just say it because I think other people do it and I want to humanize it. Today for about 30 seconds, I just thought about smashing his fucking stupid face in with my fist. And I stopped and I came back and I'm being honest, I stopped and I caught myself. I'm like, ooh, I gave a lot away just now. A lot of my life I just gave to that guy and wanting, to somehow feel good about hurting this person. Yep. And I didn't feel good about that moment at all, but I'm glad that you said that because I want to name it and I don't want to spend time there and I don't want him to have any of my day. None of it. None of my power. No, thank you.
And also it's the dark side, it's very attractive.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I know that I don't really have it in me to truly be a psychotic murderer.
Right.
So why even drift in that direction? Do you know what I mean? Because it's I'm not going to do anything with those. It's just going to make me miserable. And also, as I said, when the whole Luigi Mangione thing was
Right.
just happening, that, there are a lot of people who would love to remove the prohibition on murder in this country. And most of them are not people on my side, and so I don't want to be the one to be like, you know what? Assassination, it's all fine now. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna pretend that there haven't been like dark fantasies about certain people being thrown in vans.
Let's name the other not great feeling that many of us have had. Not all of us. Some of you are better. But when you find out that a celebrity who you really don't like's house burnt down, you're either okay or maybe happy. And when you find out a celebrity you like's house burnt down, you feel bad. That's not where I want to live either. But
no, I mean, the James Woods, Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson was doing an interview with Joe Rogan while his house burned to the ground, apparently. That's according to him, Mel Gibson. And I chuckled at that, and I just reshared the news. I didn't give an opinion, but I just reshared it.
Yeah, how can you not feel a certain degree of schadenfreude?
During that interview, apparently, he told Joe Rogan that he knows at least a few friends who overcame stage 4 cancer with alternative treatments. And so I was like, good, I'm glad your house burnt down. You're just giving people nonsense on the most popular platform in the world. And I'm sure he also said. And
I'm sure Joe Rogan really interrogated that, and he really tried to nail.
No, he just nodded. Apparently, he just nodded. Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
Did you see or hear about any, are we looking at the tragedy in LA differently because there are so many well-known celebrities who have lost their homes and everything?
Again, I think that it's clarifying, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people in the same way that, we have those feelings of glee when you hear about James Woods or whatever. I'm sure that there are a lot of people, I know this for a fact, that there's a lot of people in this country who just delight in the fact that Hollywood is upset and sad and miserable and in a tragic, whether they're celebrities or not, there's just a lot of people who just like LA's burning. Great. Love it. But like I said, it's like, I'm not trying to diminish other tragedies, but there's just something so, I don't know, man. It really, all those sort of apocalyptic notions of what climate change was going to bring us.
Yeah.
Fire, for some reason.
No, that's right.
Hits differently.
Yeah. A firestorm fits more into what we imagine climate change would be than even floods. Exactly. Because you're thinking about global warming, and you're thinking about it getting hotter in general, and you're thinking about
it can't help but trigger your notions of hell, hell on earth, and just like right. There's something very it feels very on the nose in a brutal way. Yeah.
No, I think that's absolutely accurate. Seeing the images of fire raining down is so discomforting and so just intimidating because you think about the future a lot. You end up thinking about, we're going to have so much more of this. How are people going to live and survive in these otherwise beautiful places? There's too many of us.
I'm sure. And again, I couldn't help but have a smug sense of satisfaction about this. I don't know if you saw the post that was going around that was being shared on social media about some dude who was like, are there any private firefighters out there who will come and protect my home? Money is no object. And then of course somebody then went through his old tweets. So you found this?
No, I was putting my hand up. I'll take it. I'll do the work.
But then somebody found one of his old tweets where he's complaining about property taxes. Like, somebody's got to lower the property taxes in California. Like, it's clearly unaware that is what pays for fire prevention and fire control in the fire department. But it's just like, it was one of those things like, these people, your money can protect you from a lot. It can protect you from a whole lot. It can't protect you from wind and fire. And I don't want to say that makes me happy or that I get any satisfaction at it, but it's like, maybe that will be the kind of thing that makes people understand that, like, we're in this together, whether you want to be or not. You may feel like you have nothing in common with the trans kid or the migrant or the black woman, single mother, or, the guy, the Latino dude who's in prison. Like, you might think you have nothing to do with those people. But when it comes to this shit, it truly does not discriminate.
Right.
And there is something very clarifying about that. And I would love to think that it would break through in some of these people's minds. I would say I'm hopeful, but not optimistic.
Also, you don't hear as much, obviously, about. There's a lot of, it's a very affluent area, most of it. There's a lot of people who are living in homes that they're just making it by, or they certainly can't afford to rebuild in that same exact space. They inherited that home. It's, handed down maybe. There's so many more people that you don't hear as much about, whose stories are very, very sad, because not only do they lose everything, they're not getting it back. Like, they're not able to rebuild there. They're going to have to go to live in Fresno.
Yeah, that's exactly true. It's like, for every ounce of dark, sinister glee you feel about James Woods, understand how many houses had to burn down to get to his. Yeah. It's a lot.
It is worth mentioning, we learned this week also, Earth, our planet, experienced its hottest year on record in 2024, which is a headline we hear every year, by the way, except for one, I think. That's obviously where we're going. So the climate effect, and by the way, I listened to the New York Times Daily the other day, and they were covering the fires, doing a really good job covering them. And then they went to break, and the ad sponsor was American Petroleum Institute. They threw to break after covering the fires to the oil lobby.
Yeah, you almost have to be like, I think we're almost ironied out in a way.
Yeah.
That this stuff is so absurdly obvious that our brains have to go through increasing number of calisthenics to ignore how obvious that 2 + 2 = 4.
Lastly, in terms of the news, at least, one of the other hard things to learn this week was to see Trump, I think, get the final shred of freedom and skate in the New York hush money trial, where, he is a convicted criminal, and his sentence today was, nothing. He didn't have to show up to court. He did get a platform to rant on, however. Part of the challenge is, not only is he going to be back, so hard to believe, but apparently he's not going to face justice other than from his maker, which I say his because he's got to have a different one than the rest of us.
Yeah, it's the same God. He's just much less classy.
He's just a dirtbag. His God that made him and Elon Musk and a few others is just a piece of shit.
I saw a lot of people on Blue Sky. Of course you get the resistance blue wave types, who are like, finally he's going to be sentenced, but then you also get like the anti blue wave types, which has become a shtick in its own. Like, oh, you think this matters? Like, why do no one's coming to save us? Like, yeah, no one thinks anyone's coming to save us. But I do think for history, it's important, because I don't think people understand that a conviction, and I only found this out 2 weeks ago, but that a conviction isn't actually official until the sentence is handed down. That, even once a verdict is rendered, it's until sentencing before things actually become documented in history that this person is a convicted felon. And so there is an historical marker that I think needs to be laid down. When this crashes and burns, as I truly believe it will, the only question is how many of us it'll take down with him. I think it's really important for history that there was some marker that this dude entered office as a convicted felon. Because I promise you that if what happened today didn't happen, like if that verdict wasn't handed down, even with the dismissal or whatever it was called, you would have seen over the next 4 years, they would have degraded your memory of what happened to by the time 4 years rolled around, there would have been people being like, he wasn't convicted. I promise you. In the same way that people will find ways to justify January 6th or the Russia scandal, like people. They just will repeat a lie so much that they'll start to believe it themselves. And so I think it's important for it to be in cold ink
That's a great point. No, that's a really good point. I'm glad you said that. It makes me feel just a little bit better about it. And
I don't think it's going to matter at all in terms of like our day-to-day lives. But I just think for the historical record, I think it's important.
What about January 6th? How much did you pay attention to that? And that was, speaking of trying to be memory hold as well. They're trying to put a plaque up outside the tunnel where all those cops were getting the crap kicked out of them and crushed. And Republicans are slow walking that. There'll probably never be a plaque up. Like, we can't even get a plaque. You can't get, convictions for any of the architects. Obviously, lots of people have gone to jail, but no plaque either.
Yeah.
No commemoration. It didn't happen.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. And so it's like any sort of proof that can be laid down that this did happen and that these things did happen, I think will be more useful than people appreciate right now, I think.
Selfishly, before I let you go, when is it publicly or culturally acceptable for us to complain about the cold here in the East that we're dealing with? Like, it's like, it doesn't seem,
it's completely unacceptable to complain. Trust me, the same thought has crossed my mind, and because it has been unpleasant this week, but It
was also not only that. I rarely complain about the weather, and I got out there this week plenty outside, and I'm happy I did. But the wind was really strong here on the East Coast in New York, and it was scary here in the wind, and it was freezing. It was making it 20 degrees seem like 6 degrees. The wind chill was real, and I wanted to complain about the scary winds, but I think the winds in California are scarier than mine, because
that they have a monopoly on wind complaints for foreseeable future.
Right, man. I should have just gone publicly, just tone deafed it publicly on all media. Like, man, those winds are scary.
God, you guys think you have it tough in California? You should try to walk down Broadway in 15-degree weather.
Freezing. Got to have every piece of skin covered out here. It's nuts. Oh, you lost your home? Christian, thank you for joining me to recap the week and give a different, unique perspective on everything. And optimistic at times today as well on things I like. I always like that from anybody. So thank you very much, my friend. Good stuff.
They say optimism is revolutionary.
Love it. I like that a lot.
I'm trying to convince myself of that.
That's good. It's working for me. All right. Thank you. There he goes, Christian Finnegan. Yeah, Saturday special. You like it? Hope you do. And I hope that you are well on this weekend. And I hope that you are using optimism as a revolution. I like that a lot. Go follow and support Christian at newmusicforold.substack.com. Please buy tickets to PODJAM and come see us and hang out with us. It's going to be an awesome 3 days out in Las Vegas at the end of March, so please consider that. And you bumblebees for pressing play, listening all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you are okay and hanging in there and maybe even doing really well. Have a great weekend if you're listening on the weekend, and make the next moment a good one. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.